Hello, everybody. Excited utterance here. My name's Hella, and today, a bit different topic for you all. Steve Gosney. He is a wonderful friend to so many of us. He's an inspiration. He is a lawyer. He is a streamer, podcaster, a writer. He's so many things. Family man, man of God. He's just a great guy. And I know a lot of you guys have heard many rumors, many things about what's been going on with Steve over the last few months, and we all miss him. We miss hearing from him. We miss watching him. We miss talking to him online, things like that, and wondering what's going on. There's been a lot of speculation. And the reason I decided to do this stream is that there's been speculation. And when there's speculation, people tend to make up their own minds as to what the reason is for him not being around. If you bothered to kind of look into it, you might sort of work it out. But the thing is that not everyone's got time to look into the story behind things. So they sort of hear one thing from one person, and then they hear something from another person, and then it all kind of gets jumbled up. And it's not on purpose. It can all be with good intentions, but you hear a story, and the story goes to somebody else, and the story goes to somebody else, and it can just end up a bit messy. So my thought today with doing this is to try and set the story a bit straight and tell you guys all what's happened based on my own research and some chat behind the scenes to give you the story a little bit more from Steve's point of view, as in, I'm going to tell it a little bit biased from someone who is a friend of Steve, someone who likes Steve. Because the thing about it is, if you go and read the news articles and things, you might not see it from that point of view. You might see things a little bit tainted against Steve. And I'd rather change that narrative. I think it's better to change that narrative, don't you? So let's say hello to some people in chat. Thank you, everyone, for turning up. Let's go. Hi, JMK. And hey, Kim Bottom. Teresa K. How's it going? Now, Fiery Red. I know that Steve wishes you well. Steve wishes you well. He put out a tweet wishing you well and saying that you have been an inspiration to him. So it's good to see you here, Fiery Red. Okay. You've been waiting for this one, Cowpoke? Great. I'm a little nervous about this, to be honest. The reason I'm a little bit nervous about this is that I feel like I have a bit of an obligation to do this story justice. I've been reading the book. The book in question is called Death Penalty Desires. And it was a different book for Steve. He wrote a novel, and it was a novel that, let's just be clear, it's a fictional work, and it has adult themes. Okay? Some people took it out of context. And that's where the problem came about. I'm just going to keep saying hello to a few people before I get started. Benjamin, lightweight with alcohol, which is rare in a lawyer. That's funny. You weren't speculating, Mavka, but now you are. Well, I'm going to try and stop the speculation. That's what this is about. 3 cheers for Steve. Hello, Andrew. How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. You're off on a road trip at the moment, aren't you? There you go. Hello, Dolly. Hey, Kat. Steve. Hello. Hello. Yes. John, how's it going? We actually know who Steve is. Yes, we do. We know who Steve is. We know what kind of guy he is. and his reputation has been sullied. It has, and it's not right. I don't like cancel culture. I really don't. I find it to be up there with, you know how angry I get when I see that, say, a defendant has been found guilty by the media before they've even had their trial, and there's really like no evidence out there at all to prove their guilt. You know how mad I get about that? You've seen me on streams, and I'm like, but there's nothing on them yet. Why is everyone so sure they're guilty? Oh, they've got creepy eyes, that kind of thing. You don't know this person. Their whole life is being ruined. Their reputation is gone, and they've got family. Like, leave them alone, everybody. Oh, but they're so guilty, guilty, guilty. Yeah. So I don't like cancel culture. I feel like it's just a mob mentality. People are so quick to throw stones. Paige, good to see you. Yes, Gosney is a legend. He is. He is. And so many people out there who have been saying such terrible things about him, they don't realize what kind of a person Steve really is. Hey, Luna, how are you? He's in jail? No, 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 no. Hey, Mari, good to see you here. I'm getting to it in a sec. BL Blazy, good to see you. Brittany, hi. Marjorie, good to see you. Alexei, is this about his job or a live reading of the book? I'm not going to be doing a live reading of the book. No, we'll get to this in a second. Hello, Murph. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. Okay, so all right, so Steve, this is the Steve we know. This is the Steve we know. There he is with lovely puppy, and let's move on. Okay, so this is Steve Gosney. We all know and love. People are asking, how can anyone have a problem with this guy? Seriously, Steve. How could everyone have a problem with him? People are asking this. Hey, salty dog. How are you? I've heard this a lot around the place, like that people are in disbelief about all this. Okay, so most of us here on YouTube know Steve as the defense appellate attorney from Florida with a wicked sense of humor, a love of music, and a side gig as an accomplished author. Yeah? Now, if you've ever taken a moment to watch Steve in action, you'll see there's a reason he rose to the office of Assistant Public Defender in Daytona Beach, Florida. And Steve's CV speaks for itself. And you can go and look at it. It's up on his website and on his LinkedIn. He has a very distinguished career. I've watched some of his oral arguments that are on his YouTube channel. They're very impressive. He's also a family man, dedicated to his faith and his principles. Basically, an all-round top bloke. All-round top bloke. Hello, Sadie. Yeah, just a great guy. So what happened? Now, on May 30, Steve shared his feelings with us as he left his job of 14 years with the State Public Defender's Office. Oh, I've got a spelling mistake. Damn it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flick over to this video. He did a reminiscing kind of stream where he was leaving his house, and can you see there all this stuff is packed up? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share this tab instead. And let's see.
The $100 drink deal is on.
Let's get the sound up a little bit more. Ooh. sec. Let's boost it up a bit.
But what I want to talk about is I want to look back. I'll tell you, I had a little, I guess I could say, a wake up call, a kind of the reality is starting to hit home that I'm actually leaving my home of 56 years, my entire life. I've lived here, and I'm actually closing that door. And my job of 14 years being a public defender, doing appeals and stuff. And I went into work, I guess it was yesterday. I went into work, and all my cases have been reassigned. Which was kind of shocking. It was kind of now, of course, I'm appreciative. It's great. It's great. I'm glad that they're excited utterance. Boy,
Now,
we're getting some good people here. Good to see you. We were putting in the chat where you're all from here. So that was kind of like cold water. Like, gee, this is really happening, right? I mean, I'm kind of in a fog. I'm not really good at change. I am good at popcorn. So I thought what I do is, because you can look back, I can get angry or negative, and obviously I want to look forward. I've got a new opportunity, and we'll do that, and that's for another time. But I want to talk about just kind of a career retrospective, and I know, and what I thought I'd do is talk about what I've accomplished in those 14 years and intersperse. And one of the reasons I thought about that, I thought it'd be kind of a good just for posterity to put all that down. So then I can pray on it. I can thank God for the gift that I've been given for a great 14-year career in the public defender's office. And I can talk it all out with y'all and then kind of close that door and move forward. And also as part of that, see, here's the part that you might like. This is all, I'm just talking to the wind, right? The good part about this is I want to go through some of my highlights, my career highlights of some of the cases that I've done, maybe trials, and tell you a little bit about them and some of the things that I've accomplished and I'm kind of happy about. Maybe you'll say, oh, that's stupid. That's not much. Maybe that's one of the reasons I did it. But it'll be kind of cool. I can tell you some war stories and with some real cases. Yeah, Little Rock, Arkansas. I don't know if he's from Little Rock, Arkansas, but he is from Arkansas. Yeah, I don't like change either, and this is a very hard thing for me to do, and that's why we're celebrating. I'm trying to do it very methodically, systematically, and so having some popcorn. So let's start at the beginning. Let's look chronologically. I mean, this is sort of just, it's going to be kind of self-centered stream, I admit. But maybe you can enjoy kind of living through my experience. Hey, there's Nicola. Nicole, this is president of my fan club, by the way. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think. Keep your face in the sunshine. You cannot see a shadow. This is why she's the president. Oh, and I got to tell you more. So one of the things I'm doing to keep occupied is I'm writing some more. I'm writing another book. But it's going to be a little book. It's going to be like, my automatic gardening book, kind of more of a.
All right. So basically, why I wanted to show that was to give you guys a sense of what a big deal it was for him to make this change from living where he was to going to Miami after such a long period of time, 14 years in the state public defender's office. Look at the situation behind him. You will remember him in his office with the guitars behind him. He's packing up his whole life, his family, and they're moving to Miami. And he's feeling quite nostalgic, reminiscent. And this stream here, it goes on for a couple of hours. Some friends join him, and he talks about the cases he's had over the years, memories in that area, and it's a little bit emotional. It's a huge change. It's something he's had to really consider. Yeah, it's no small thing for him, but he's excited about the future. But it's a huge turning point. It's yeah. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going back to here. So yeah, on May 30, Steve shared his feelings with us and left his job of 14 years with the State Public Defender's Office. And you can see their legendary racing saying, "Here's to Steve joining the dark side." The dark side. So we've always known him as like the eternal defense attorney, but he's gone over to the Miami State Attorney's Office, so the prosecutor's side. And we're all like, "Why, Steve? Why are you doing that?" Well, he was going to train prosecutors to be more ethical. And who better to do that than this guy? Right? We were all like, "Well, good choice. Good choice." Right? Now, before we continue, it helps to understand a little bit of what was going on in Miami. So I've done some research on this. Now, back in March of this year, here's an article about what was happening in Miami. Miami prosecutors ousted from case of gang boss on death row over misconduct allegations. So let's have a look at this. Just a second. Okay, so let's see. Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge Andrea Wolfson is expected to rule on convicted killer Corey Smith's claim that Miami-Dade prosecutors are too compromised to take part in his resentencing by the end of the month. A long-time Miami-Dade prosecutor was dismissed from the high-profile case of a notorious gang leader after being accused of misconduct, including gathering witnesses at the Miami Police Department and coaching their testimonies. Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge Andrea Ricker Wolfson on Wednesday ousted prosecutor Michael Von Zempf from the case of Corey Smith, a convicted killer believed to be ringleader of Liberty City's violent John Doe drug gang. In the order, Wolfson said she made the decision after a weeks-long hearing during which Smith's defense team presented newly discovered evidence in a bid to request a new trial and dismissed the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office from the case. During the hearing, it became apparent there was a serious issue regarding possible witness testimony manipulation by the assistant state attorneys on this case, not only in the past but also in the present, Wolfson said. Wolfson, however, denied the defense's motion to dismiss the entire Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office from the case. The judge has yet to rule on whether or not she will vacate Smith's convictions. Von Zempf, a prosecutor, and prosecutor Stephen Mitchell lost sight of their responsibility and justice demands their disqualification, Wolfson said in the filing. She said she dismissed Mitchell because he emphatically argued that there had been no unethical conduct, which indicates he shares Von Zempf's prosecutorial philosophy of winning at all costs. So, this leads me to back to here. Later, and this was updated in on July 1st, 2024. So, around the time that Steve started his tenure, very short tenure, at the Miami State Attorney's Office. Miami State Attorney announces changes in her office as misconduct allegations swarm. So I'm looking at this one now. Let's have a look at that, shall we? Two seconds. Okay. All right. All right. Miami-Dade Attorney's Office announced changes in her office as misconduct allegations swarm. So this is Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle. She says here she was automatically re-elected to 4 more years in April when no one filed to run against her. She's the person who is responsible for sorting out these allegations of corruption, basically. And she would be Steve's boss. Amid a growing chorus of complaints that state prosecutors are cheating in court to win at all costs, Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle said Monday that her office is reviewing allegations of misconduct and reassigning some prosecutors and will create a forum for vetting systemic issues facing the criminal justice system in the county. Fernandez-Rundle's comments to the Miami Herald came just hours after she met with representatives of the Miami chapter of the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, who'd handed her a binder of misconduct allegations 6 weeks ago. Defense attorneys said prosecutors' misbehavior robs defendants of a fair trial and could lead to an innocent person being framed. Right. So let's look at this. It's been going on for a while. There's been all of these allegations of prosecutorial misconduct going on in Miami-Dade County. And then you have this lady who is the Miami-Dade State Attorney. And she says she's going to clean it all up, right? So she's looking for somebody to come and clean it all up. Hence Steve. Steve comes along. Do you think that there might have been some people who didn't want someone to come along and clean it all up? I'm just asking the question. I am not pointing the finger at anybody. I'm just asking the question. Now, let's go back. And the guy that would help with that is run off to the cheers of defense attorneys. Yes. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So that was just a little bit of background about what was going on in Miami. Now, then, it says 1 month ago because kind of like YouTube, when you go and search something up, it doesn't tell you the exact date. It just tells you, oh, it was a month ago. But this is on LinkedIn, on Steve's LinkedIn. And he posts, I'm happy to share, I'm starting a new position as Assistant State Attorney at SAO Miami, so State Attorney's Office, Miami. And there's one of these little graphics, happy balloon, sun, whatever it is, starting a new position. Okay, so that happened on LinkedIn. And then someone on LinkedIn has come along, and those of you who follow the Zachariah Anderson case will recognize this lady's name. It's Tiffany Roy. She's a bit of a legend. She's forensic DNA expert. She goes, Steve, no. He was really excited, half Irish. He was really excited. And Steve's gone, it's better than you think. I'll be trying new prosecutors and he meant to say training new prosecutors and advising the office on ethical compliance and other issues such as Brady compliance. I may be calling upon you for expertise. And Tiffany's gone, they're going to run you out if you do. I'm persona non grata. That means person that's not wanted. Miami-Dade is one of the labs lagging behind worse than any other lab I've worked with. And Michael Von Zamp, remember him from the article a moment ago? And Michael Von Zamp was one of the trainers I knew down there who was totally crooked. Yeah, there you go. Tiffany was the forensic expert who wrote a complaint about the erroneous testimony given in the Zachariah Anderson trial about the DNA, if you're wondering where you've heard that name before. Steve made the move to Miami, a huge step. Now, early July, the Miami State Attorney's Office announced Steve's appointment on social media. So there were a few people that were appointed at that time. I think there were 3, and Steve was one of them. There he is being sworn in by the judge. So State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle welcomes new Assistant State Attorneys Halola Atham and Steve Gosney, sorry, 2 people. And here, Halola and Stephen took the ASA oath of justice today, administered by Honourable Judge Christina Miranda. That's who this is here. So not Catherine Fernandez. You've seen her, the photo of her a moment ago. One of our amazing prosecutors. Congratulations, Halola and Stephen. Welcome to our SAO team. Oh, I believe this man here is in chat. I hear he's a published author. Looking forward to reading his latest book. Did you ever get around to reading it? Anyway, so yeah, they were obviously pleased to announce it. That was on the 27th of June. So yeah, 27th of June. Hi there. Nothing could prepare him for what was to come. His opponents would not be in the courtroom. A man hired to train Miami prosecutors wrote a violent, racy lust novel. So this article came out on July 3rd, 2024. So what's that? 6 days later? Okay, so this was an article in the Miami Herald written by Brittany Woman and Sarah Blasky. Now, I'm not sure to what degree Sarah Blasky had to do with the article. Brittany Woman seems to be the person who's taken the most responsibility for this and wrote a subsequent article with, I believe, without Sarah Blasky's name on it. I'll check it later when we read it. Pretty sure Sarah Blasky's name was not on the second article, but I'll check that in a sec. Anyway, regardless, they're both drivel. I'm going to, unfortunately, read this article for you all because this is what started it all. So, a man hired to train Miami prosecutors wrote a violent, racy lust novel. Get ready, guys. Just a moment. Okay, so here's the book covers of a book written by Steve Gosney on stevegosney.com. And you'll see there that there's an R-rated softcover, a PG-rated softcover, and an R-rated ebook. So, FYI, this is the first article that was written. It was on July 3rd. And, yeah, if you haven't read it, I'm so sorry. I'm going to read it to you now. A lawyer who was just hired to train young prosecutors at the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office is a recent author of R-rated novel with sadomasochistic themes depicting women as sex objects and a transgender woman as an it, a he-beast, and the thing. Explore a woman's desire for submission as she stands accused of being the infamous sex toy killer, the book blurb says. Steve Gosney was sworn in last week as a new hire for the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, run by Catherine Fernandez-Rundle. He was hired amid a slate of changes Fernandez-Rundle made in response to judicial findings and defense lawyers' complaints that some of her prosecutors violate the legal rules of criminal court. Gosney told a social media audience that the state attorney liked his passion for ethics. That would have been on one of his streams. That's true. It appears that neither Fernandez-Rondal nor any of her top chiefs read Gosney's novel, Death Penalty Desires, which is easily purchased on his self-named website or Amazon, has been discussed on his Rumble video channel, and is listed on his resume. The state attorney's office did not release documents requested by the Miami Herald related to his hiring, including his job description and salary. Gosney told the Miami Herald that he doesn't condone the sex-based violence and misogynistic thinking of his characters. He said the book illustrates his stance against the death penalty. It's a morality play. It's a commentary on society. It's a mediation on the system and how the system can go wrong in myriad ways to convict an innocent person. And it's a tour through death row, he said in an interview. In a statement Wednesday, State Attorney's Office Ed Griffith said the book was written while Gosney was a Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers member working as a public defender. The book was written less than 5 months ago. Okay. At the time of his hire, we were confident that he will be a valuable addition to our office in a special projects, legal, appellate, litigation support, and training functions, Griffith said. When I asked about this fictional novel, Mr. Gosney indicated that the key conceptual idea was to show what can happen to an innocent individual when the criminal justice system does not work as intended. Gosney, 56, has experience both in criminal defense and prosecution. He served as a prosecutor for 6 years in Flagler County and spent the last 14 years in the public defender's office in Daytona Beach, where, among other things, he trained new appellate attorneys. As a self-published author, Gosney sells a PG and R-rated version of his book. He's written other books, including Brucey the One-Eyed Wonder Dog for children and a Christian-based Handbook for Individual Freedoms. Now, moving on. The book. The Herald read the R-rated version of Death Penalty Desires, in which a prosecutor frames the main character for her husband's murder, and she is sentenced to death. The prosecutor is described as drooling as he imagines media coverage and possible judgeship. The vast majority of females in the book are described with vulgar disrespect by the various characters and the narrator. There are violent sex scenes, including between the husband and wife. Themes of men controlling or dominating women against their will are threads throughout the novel. There are several rapes or sexual assaults. The murdered husband is found with a sex toy lodged in his anus. A horse tail is attached to it. When a prosecutor views the crime scenes, he is intoxicated by photos of a very dead blonde woman. The necrophiliac perversity aspect of his lust did not even cross his mind. He had shared popcorn with other prosecutors as they watched underage girls getting sodomized, Gosney wrote. He remembered one new prosecutor, a small, tart young thing, who gave it up to him after one video watching session. The thought gave him a smile. The main character entertains an offer from the prison warden of living in the basement as his submissive sex slave. One character muses that he's going to rage F a woman and make her pay. A transgender inmate, described as a man-beast and crazy-eyed horror, with a surgical abomination and mutilated crotch, threatens to sexually attack the main character. The C word is used to describe the main character's female anatomy. The book equates being female with being submissive. That is pure speculation. I just stopped reading and used my own voice. Saying the book equates being female with being submissive is opinion of the author. I'm sorry, I had to stop and put my own 2 cents in there because that's opinion. That's opinion. The main character is described at one point as having accepted her feminine need, her primal desire for masculine domination. Most female characters are portrayed as sex objects. Again, opinion. I've read the book, by the way. An investigator struts through a hospital, eyeing every woman he passes and sizing them up for sex. He sees one woman and thinks, I'd do her. A nurse, described as a hospital slut, throws herself at her boss, hoping he'll impregnate her so she can quit her job. Female heroes. This part. The book was written in a 10-day span in February, according to the website, but was drawn from a lifetime of experiences. The book's summary calls it a murder mystery and law novel set in the world of kink and passion. Try not to draw conclusions about the author from the content herein. Gosney said expert excerpts should not be taken out of context, and emphasized that the novel is a work of fiction. He cited several female characters he said were depicted as heroes. Okay. One is a prison guard who testifies for the framed main character. Another is an inmate nicknamed for anatomical reasons as the eunuch, who performs a heroic act when he crushes the neck of the transgender inmate, described repeatedly as a he-beast, to stop the inmate's sexual assault of the main character. The third female hero cited by Gosney is a defense attorney who serves as a second chair to her husband, hearing her words spoken confidently by her husband in the court proceedings, and then takes over very capably when he's exhausted. She needs help handling the complexities of the death penalty case. So a male defense attorney is brought in, and he takes the job for the publicity because he's sexually attracted to the client. The story ends with the framed wife being set free from prison. She's described as having grown personally while incarcerated and realizes a primal part of her yearned for a dominant master, a man to take control. The defense attorney, she realizes, is a man worthy of being called daddy. She agrees to wear the closet full of dresses and high heels that he brought her because she wants to make him happy. In the book acknowledgements, Gosney thanks his friends, including online followers with account names like Legal Vices and Let's Go Brandon. Sorry. Gosney told his Rumble audience that he moved with his wife and son to Miami from Daytona Beach. He said Fernandez-Rundle's office crafted a position for him. Don't you love the way they're making him sound arrogant there? They've been looking for a defense perspective, Gosney said of Fernandez-Rundle's office on his Rumble program. It's almost a dream job. They said, we need you here. We'll make you an offer you can't refuse. Gosney said he'll be writing policies, offering his ethics expertise, training young prosecutors, and maybe being part of a prosecution integrity unit. Fernandez-Rundle did not announce creation of such a unit, though it has been requested by local defense attorneys. Gosney said his work focus is up in the air. Everybody says Miami's great, he said on Rumble, except for the traffic. Brittany Warman. What a piece of literary prose. Just stunning. Stunning. Okay, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Brittany should stick to running stories from Rebecca Jones. I don't know who that is. Yamaha. Just put Abacagel on my arthritic hands. What do you want our public officials who works with the worst of the people to not do a hobby? Do you think our representatives should have control over their trades on Wall Street too? The controversy is more than Steve was supposed to counter corruption. Yes. Look, I don't know. I feel like this was the starting point, and I wonder why this lady who wrote this, or ladies who wrote this, cared so much. about this book, why they cared. Yeah. So I'm gonna move on. Now that you've heard the first thing. That was then updated a few days later on and posted again on July 5th with a different headline. It's the same article, ostensibly. I can't find any difference between this article and the first article other than the headline. They changed it to read reality check, women are sex objects in sadomasochistic novel by man hired to train Miami prosecutors. So it sounded just a bit more salacious, yeah, as opposed to a man hired to train Miami prosecutors wrote a violent racy lust novel. It became women are sex objects in sadomasochistic novel by man hired to train Miami prosecutors. Okay, all right, yeah, yes, it's fiction. Let's just be clear, it's fiction, all right. What has Mavka gotten onto? Let's see. Maybe they bought the book and it wasn't as gripping as 50 Shades of Grey. Look, I'm going to tell you something. I've read it, right? If you go and read this book looking for some sort of turn on or something like that, you're not going to get it. That's not what it is. It's not. It's a page turner. Like it's interesting. There's lots of twists and turns. There's mystery. There's all that kind of thing. But it's not like dirty per se. There's there's sexual crimes in there. So yes, there's shocking stuff, but it's cheeky. It's written in a cheeky way. But there's definitely nothing worse than you would see watching trials. Like when you watch trials, you see lots of nasty stuff. When you're used to watching trials, you see and you hear a lot of things that are macabre, I guess. So no, there's nothing in there worse than that, I guess. It's just you get used to, I suppose, seeing and hearing about murder scenes and crimes and that kind of thing. And it's not endorsed in any way. Absolutely. And this is fiction too. So it's not like when you're used to watching and hearing about real crimes, that's more shocking because it's real. Like this is not real. Okay, moving on. All right, so let's have a bit of a look at cancel culture because I've called this being cancelled, and I don't take this lightly. I think that this is really important. What's happened to Steve? I feel like he's been cancelled. I feel like this is an extension of this term cancel culture that happens often. And it doesn't just happen to like the likes of J.K. Rowling, like people with these big personalities and giant followings. So let's have a look at what this term cancel culture means. And can we look at whether or not he deserved to be cancelled? Because there are people who believe that cancel culture should exist, that there's a reason for cancel culture and that it's a good thing, right? So if cancel culture and canceling people should happen, which I disagree with, but if there's an argument for cancel culture existing, then can we look at that and go, hang on a minute, does what Steve did by writing this book actually fall under the criteria for deserving this? So cancel culture, noun, and this is from Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary. So the practice or tendency of engaging in mass cancelling. See cancel entry 1, sense 1, 1E, which is this one over here. So as a way of expressing disapproval and exerting social pressure, for those of you who weren't aware, cancel culture refers to the mass withdrawal of support from public figures or celebrities who have done things that aren't socially accepted today. And I've highlighted who have done things. This practice of canceling or mass shaming often occurs on social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Right. So then I've gone and looked at cancel, which in the sense 1E. So cancel verb, entry 1E, to withdraw one's support for someone, such as celebrity, something, or something such as a company, publicly and especially on social media. The internet has cancelled her, for example, the internet has cancelled her alleged anti-black and homophobic past, Angie Dare. See also cancel culture, so that leads back to here. So in order for you to be cancelled, you have to have done something that is considered to be not socially acceptable today. So let's look at that. So briefly, to cancel is to encourage the mass withdrawal of support from public figures or celebrities who have done things that aren't socially accepted today. And I'm going to say that as a public figure, I'm going to say, okay, sure. All right, Steve might be a public figure. We might put him down as a public figure because of the fact that he is representing the state. Sure. Okay. And he has a public presence. He's an author. He has a Rumble channel. He has a YouTube channel. He's well known and respected. Okay. Let's say that. Things the article refers to that aren't socially acceptable: sexual violence, sadomasochism, necrophilia, misogyny, transphobia. I'm sure I've forgotten some, but here's an X for them. X, 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 X. Okay? Okay? So I'm just going to say all that stuff out there and go, all right, those things aren't socially acceptable. All right? Play devil's advocate here and go, sure, I can see why people think that those things aren't socially acceptable. They're not. They're generally not. Generally. People don't like those things. I get it. But my next thing I'm going to say is this. My question is, did Steve Gosney, public figure, state representative, author, do or even endorse any of these things? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Never. Never. He didn't do any of those things. No. He didn't do any of those things. F no. He never endorsed those actions. Nope. 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 No. Big fat no. Big fat no. Big fat no. And I see there's some gifted memberships coming in. Thank you so much. I'm going to come to those shortly. I really appreciate all your support, everybody. And I'm going to also be reading out the lovely messages to Steve shortly soon. This is what gets me. And I feel like there's no way to change people's minds once they've made their mind up. It's very difficult to reason with people once they've attached themselves to an idea. Very difficult. Very difficult. But this is the best reasoning I can come up with. If you look at the dictionary definition for what canceling is If you truly believe in canceling somebody, and there are lots of people who think that it's the right thing to do to cancel somebody, there are lots of people who think, cool, we need to knock this person off. We need to knock people off who don't conform to the right societal ideals, who don't do the right thing. That's the correct thing to do, right? So if those people are going to continue to feel that way, then we need to go, okay, well, if the definition of canceling is this, then if it's this, to cancel is to encourage the mass withdrawal of support from public figures or celebrities who have done things that aren't socially accepted. And these are the things that you've mentioned. Did Steve Gosney do them or endorse them? No, he didn't. He didn't. He didn't. He never did. Steve himself has stated that death penalty designs is a work of fiction. And this is something he said, right? Implying that the author endorses a fictional character's actions is a ridiculous leap. Is the exact opposite of the truth. In fact, I'm going to click on this link here because it's going to take me to this tweet. He says, and this was back on the 13th of July. He said, first, the out of context situations are based on real life observations I've seen in my career. I drew upon these situations to show the villainy of the main antagonist and how they can result in an innocent person being sent to death row. Implying that the author endorses a fictional character's actions is a ridiculous leap. It is the exact opposite of the truth. There you go. And I'm going to read a couple of the responses here. You don't have to explain yourself, Steve. Not one person with a functional brain thinks you did anything wrong. You're a good, honest man with a sweet disposition. Don't let these harpies disrupt your life. Steve, we all have your back and know who you are. I'd offer one word of advice: don't engage with or about this person. She's operating in bad faith, and any good faith response will only be twisted by this person. Let your friends have your back. Well. Unfortunately, he's right, though. This person down here is right, Kevin B. Clark. You're right. There is no right response to a person like this. And I'm going to show you what happened next. Actually, it wasn't next. It was about 3 days earlier, but it continued on. Oops. Okay. This, I think, is the saddest part. And you wouldn't have seen this. Most people here wouldn't have seen this. This is a blog that I believe it's mainly like industry that read this. So welcome to the official Richard E. Gersten Justice Building blog. This blog is dedicated to justice building rumor, humor, and discussion about and between the judges, lawyers, and dedicated support staff, clerks, court reporters, and correctional officers who labor in the world of Miami's criminal justice. Post your comments or send Rumpole a private email at Howard something, winner of the prestigious Cushing Left Anterior Descending Artery Award. Okay. Okay, so they decided to call him Goose. Oh, you read this one, E-Man? Everyone reads his blog. I'm Australian. Give me a break. Everyone where? in Miami, in Florida? Because come on. Help me out here. How do you mean everyone? All right, I'm just going to share the entire thing. Got to have your daily dose of Gerst. Really? All right. Well, it's interesting to me because I didn't think it had spread outside of that general area. But that's even worse then, if that's the case. There you go. All right. So tell me in chat, people in chat, how many people know about this and how many don't? How many people know and how many don't? No, Sadie? Okay, so I'm gonna read a bit of this, but I'm more interested in the comments because the comments are eye-opening. Never heard of it? Never read the blog, David? Yeah. Benjamin doesn't? Yeah. Okay, good. I didn't think. You knew Sushi Ninja? Okay. All right. So talk to me, Goose. You asked for it. You got it. The SAO motto, playing chess with discovery and people's lives is cool. Hi, someone we never heard of, Steve Gosney. Here's what the comments have mentioned. He worked as an ASA and APD up North Florida way. He writes self-published novels that have been described as misogynistic or disrespectful of women, religious and pornography. What? And some nonsense about the death penalty to boot. So not the Grapes of Wrath material. Hard to understand how they can be all of those. If you Venn diagram it, for example, religious and porn seem to not have any overlapping areas unless you are POTUS 45 and have wave Bibles you do not read while grabbing women in their private areas. Oh, please. He is on X, formerly Twitter, bemoaning entry into a political maelstrom. Okay, so he did tweet something about entering into a political maelstrom that he was not aware of. He was hired to not 100% sure of this because the whole thing bores us, frankly, so we aren't paying close attention, to right the wrongs of MVZ. As Bruce Springsteen sings in 10th Avenue Freeze Out in his concerts, now here is the important point. We invite Mr. Gosney to have the front page of the blog, no edits on our part. He can introduce himself, write the songs or misperceptions, and maybe if we feel charitable, a link to buy his tome. A certain judge who was also self-published probably just cursed out loud reading this. So again, it brings in terms, if a change was made uptown in the office and the big man joined the band SAO, he is free to explain his work goals. In other words, talk to me, Goose. And there's a little clip from Top Gun. Anyway, there's some stuff about Maverick. I'm going to flick through here. There's a few ones here that interest me. If rap lyrics can be used against our client, why can't this guy's books? I think it needs to be said that the attack should be on the misogynistic strange man's troubling personal hobbies. He has a right to do and say as he wishes, but rather on the SAO's incessant inability to make sound judgments. The layers of stupidity needed to get this hire ran up the flagpole, and for Kathy to say, yep, this is the guy, is baffling. Okay? Right, and this is all because of the book, right? So these people are questioning how stupid the people who hired him were for hiring him just because of the book. A book they haven't read, based on an article. This is just ridiculous. What is equally baffling is placing this guy with his weird proclivities in a position of leadership within the SAO where such damage can be done, make him align SAA or hire him for FSU, but don't make him your go-to training and ethics guy without a full vetting and multiple meetings and follow-ups, layers upon layers upon layers. Okay. Oh, this part. Okay. So I realize that this is a fictional book, although I believe he may have mentioned in one of the podcasts that he modeled a character or something about a character after a real person. I'm also aware and respect his First Amendment right to write whatever he wants. Oh, wow, thank you. Very good. But was it the best judgment call for a former ASA turned anti-death penalty crusader who has likely prosecuted and defended rapists and consoled victims of sexual violence to write this type of book? I wonder what the fallout would be if a teacher wrote this type of book. Well, he does lecture, and I don't think that this has caused any problems up till now. What about the drinking of alcohol during his live streams? Oh my God, not drinking. Hey, Diane. Not drinking on live streams. This may be an acceptable imagine in some corners of the practice of law, but I hope he cuts that out as an ASA. Just not a good look for a lawman. Unless, of course, his public drinking was also green lighted by the SAO, since they supposedly reviewed his podcast as part of his background screening and were okay with it. Again, he was a lightweight. Oh, this is so silly. Oh. Okay, this bit. One of his podcast buddies, a man who he constantly praises and openly admires, who also happens to be a lawyer, appears to be a raving woman basher and openly anti-feminist, even though he hides behind the usual "I have daughters" routine. The man even puts down all single mothers raising sons. Mind you, Gosney says he was raised by a single mum, yet Gosney sits there listening to this chauvinistic rant against women like Gosney's mother and keeps praising the guy and kissing his ass. If he can't stand up for women like his own mother, I'm not hopeful that Gosney's gelatinous spine will allow him to stand up for victims or to crooked cops. He may not even be able to speak truth to power when it matters most. Oh dear. Then there's the creepy factor, case in point, fellow female podcaster who calls friend young girl can't be more than 24. I'm done. Done. I'm not doing any more of this. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what I wanted to say about this is, okay, you guys can look at this if you want to. I'm over it. So hang on. Let's get back. I find it interesting that these people are they're not even really talking about the book. Now they're just going after anything they can find. They're talking about Steve's choice of friends, for example. They're talking about him drinking on stream. They're talking about the people who hired him and saying, well, they should have checked him more. They should have What should they have done? Should they have read every single page of every book that he's ever written? Should they have watched every minute of every stream he's ever done, every stream he's ever guested on? That's just not feasible, is it? So this First Amendment right you guys have got in the US, we have something kind of similar. It's not as wide-ranging as yours, actually. This First Amendment right, what does that actually mean? Does that mean that someone who's in public office like this, it's not really public office, it's someone who represents the state in a position like this, can't speak at all on YouTube, on Rumble, can't write books, can't write fiction, can't drink in a public forum and have that recorded? Where's the line, everybody? I'm so confused. I'm so confused as to what is considered to be not public, not socially acceptable. What is not socially acceptable to a level where it's okay to encourage people to stop supporting somebody on a mass level where they are cancelled? So they lose their job, basically. So it's not okay for their employer to continue to employ them. I don't understand. I really am lost on this one. I'm really lost on this one. This one doesn't make any sense. This one doesn't make any sense. Murph says, it's not about the book. That was just a weapon they used. Someone or some people didn't want him there. Perhaps sunlight was too much of a disinfectant for them. Justice for Sunshine Steve. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's about the book, does it? Because that was just, yeah, you're right. It was just the thing that started it all. It was just the thing that started it all. Because they're not really talking about the book at all. They're not. They're not. Now, you're right, young Steve had streams about Christianity too. Lots of streams about Christianity. Lots. So they probably should have watched more streams. Yeah. Yeah, they decided to watch those ones. They decided to watch the one where he was having a sidecar. He was pretty good at making a sidecar. And he'd sip it quite slowly. He wasn't like that, was he? No. Mob mentality against a kind man doing work for good. Absolutely. Even Jesus drank wine. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I want to just thank a few people. Snibbles, thank you for the 10 Excited Utterance memberships. You're amazing. Snibbles. Murph, thank you for the 5 Excited Utterance memberships. Mwah. You're a wonderful mod. John, so are you. Mwah. Love you so much. Dali, 1, 2, 3. Oh, you're just the most amazing co-host. I just love you. And you're just the greatest friend. You're just the greatest friend. Not Williams. Oh, that's lovely of you. That's lovely of you. I'm not sure if, do you know Steve? I'm not sure. When he comes back to streaming, if you haven't already met Steve, we've got to introduce you. You guys would get on great. And Dali, another one? 4? Wow. That's so awesome. And I'm going to go back through and read some more chats shortly, but I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished yet. Okay. All right. So as you can see, the blog and the comments section is full of people who've never put a foot wrong. They have never put a foot wrong in their lives. Never, 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 never. Never, never, never. Now, there's a quote from the New Testament, John 8:7. And Jesus said, he said unto them, he that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone. I thought that was appropriate for a stream about Steve because he's a godly man. And I, I, I think about every now and again, there's a couple of Bible quotes that come back to me, and I don't know that many. I mean, I was raised Catholic, but I don't know that many. But this particular one, I think it applies to this situation because when you see people in comment sections like this, people writing blogs, people canceling other people, and just coming up with anything they can in order to make someone else look bad. It makes you wonder, have these people never done anything wrong? Does this make them feel better about themselves? Do they really feel like they're in a position to throw stones at somebody else? Because you know what? Steve's not the kind of guy to throw stones. He's really not. He's not the kind of guy to get out there and badmouth somebody else. In fact, he's the opposite. He's the kind of guy who sees the good in others, always. That's why he's a really great defense attorney. He's the kind of guy who is able to see the good in someone who has done really, really bad things. He can argue for somebody's life when everybody else wants them dead, basically. When the state wants them dead, he'll argue for their life. He'll find mitigating factors. That's what Steve does. It takes a special person. So the other thing is this. Lots of people are on Steve's side. So it must feel really bad when he's reading all of those comments, when he's looking at those blog posts, etc. And then there are lots of people who agree with it and they're just digging up everything they can. This was on the 7th of July, just after the second of the articles went up, and something happened at the Miami State Attorney's office, and he said this: "I really miss my online friends. Hopefully next week I'll get a ruling on the parameters of my online presence. Pray for me and my family. I stepped into a maelstrom of politics that I do not understand, but thankfully I know who I am and who I am not." Now, sometimes Steve, he writes things like a lawyer, and you need to read between the lines. He said, "I really miss my online friends. Hopefully next week I will get a ruling on the parameters of my online presence." What do you think that means, guys? Everyone's asking, why isn't Steve commenting? Yeah. Okay. So maybe that might answer your question. Okay. What I wanted to do though was just, I put a thing there. It says, it seems like the voices on your side are louder. Well, I was wrong. There we go. That was on the 7th of July. I was you know how social media shows you everything that you want to see or things from your friends? I thought, I'm seeing all these messages of support. Oh, the voices on your side are louder. No. There were so many things that weren't in favor of him that were probably showing up in his feed. If there's anything I can do, however small, you know where I am. And he goes, no problem, just a blip. That was then. Welsh Lady Reed says, "Hey Steve, I know you don't know me that well, but I certainly know what kind of honest, decent man with so much integrity and a heart and mind of a genius you are. You're highly respected, and your online friends will pray for you and wish you well. I, for one, will pray for you all." Misty, by the way, has been really supportive. She's she's been looking into this night and day. It took me about half an hour to understand what's going on. The corruption in Miami is scared to death of Gosney. They should be. How can we help? Nick Starro. Nick has been fantastic too. I know Nick's in the US at the moment. When I'm finished this stream, I'm going to redirect over to Nick and David. Nick said, "We got your back, Steve. It will be okay no matter the outcome." And that's true. Steve will bounce back. Dali said, "We know the kind of person you are. It's really shocking, but we know the truth. Stay strong." Megan Fox said, "I have one thing to say to anyone trying to kill Steve Gosney's new job. Do you not understand fiction?" Bondian, we are with you. It'll be fine. Not your fault. Someone doesn't understand fiction. Have the book sales increased since the post? There's Mo. All the prayers. Stay true to how you are. We love it. I'm so sorry you're going through this. You're a great man. That's Tracy. Cloak and Gloma, praying for you all of you, Steve. You've got this. They will not win with their political games of destruction. Justice will prevail through you and what you're destined to do there. You are the voice that is needed, and nothing will silence that. You're the most amazing person, says Sally. Ali, Kevin, Gosney, what happened, what's going on? Princess Puddle Pants. Whenever I see you on YouTube, I appreciate your opinions and knowledge. You're one of the best. It seems like a sincere, decent person. The Modern Marilyn says, "You're truly a good man, Gosney. I pray the absolute right decision is made. Seems like any department could really use your ethical, thoughtful, and lawful approach." David Nelson. "We know the accusations in the article do not reflect who you are. It's crazy how many journalists are so focused on destruction." JKD Buck. "You're the wonderful Wizard of Goz, sir." Wicked Wookie. "You're a better man than most and a great role model. Future prosecutors are in good hands." Well, they were. "You got this, Steve. Pray it works well for you, but should it not, at least you have a wealth of experience and knowledge to carry into the next venture." That's Mickey D. Ichabod said, "I have no idea you wrote spicy novels. I'm super thrilled to purchase one. You're very interesting. I love that about you." And Jacob Castro, "No one is more prepared for this than you." Very good. All right. So the reason I wanted to read some of those out from the time is if there's anyone watching this stream in the future who's thinking about engaging Steve for work, who's thinking about hiring Steve, just wondering about what's happened with Steve and whether all these accusations really reflect who he is as a person, I hope that this stream helps to straighten out some of that and shows that it's not just me, it's not just a couple of people, it's the people in chat, it's the people here on Twitter, it's hopefully people in comments as well. Please leave a comment. Please do leave a comment. There'll be people on LinkedIn. There'll be people hopefully on his Twitter as well, on his locals. Everyone, please, please, please make it really clear that these things that people are saying about him are just BS. They're not true. He's not someone who is into this kind of thing. He is a lawyer. He's a family man. He's a good guy. He wrote a novel. It's a novel, for goodness sake. Share this tab instead. All right, let's move on. A couple more things. I don't think we knew how serious it was until this happened. The lawyer who wrote sadomasochistic novel is cutting ties with Miami State Attorney's Office. So this article came out August 3, 2024. So a month later, 2 months after the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office hired a lawyer to train new prosecutors, he is leaving the job amid controversy over his recent self-published novel, rife with sexual violence and misogyny. Steve Gosney, a Daytona Beach public defender, moved his family to Miami to start a job training new prosecutors and helping shore up some of the ethical issues that have encircled the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office this year. Right, so this was the most recent article, everybody. Oh dear. And yes, this one just by Brittany Woman. I don't know what happened to the other lady. Maybe she decided that she had some ethics about her, but who knows? But Gosney's hiring became a controversy all on its own when the Miami Herald reported on his recent self-published novel, Death Penalty Desires. The fictional book is full of crude sexual violence, including descriptions of a transgender person as man-beast with a mutilated crotch, and depicts female characters as having an intrinsic need to submit to a masculine man. Prosecutors in the book are craven and corrupt. A homeless person is a grubby bum, and an Arab-looking doctor is referred to as a camel jockey. The terms of Gosney's departure are unclear. Spokesman Ed Griffiths said in an email that Mr. Gosney will be separating from our office in the upcoming weeks. Read that again. Mr. Gosney will be separating from our office in the upcoming weeks. That's interesting wording, isn't it? Hmm. Hmm. I bet Steve is watching. Hi, Steve. We love you. Ah, good question, Kat. Mr. Gosney will be separating from our office in the upcoming weeks. Lawyers talk like lawyers talk, don't they? Gosney, 56, was hired at a $105,000 salary, increasing to $110,000 after 6 months of probation. Now, I don't know the full terms of the agreement, and I'm not very good with US salaries. That sounds really low to me. It sounds really low to me. It doesn't sound like he went like for the money to me. And I've had no discussion with him about this. I haven't talked to anybody about this at all. This is just me being a sheltered Australian going, that just sounds really low. But yeah, it sounds to me, it just seems like that's not him going because, oh, wow, so much money. And I don't mean it as an offense to him or anybody. It just sounds like maybe there's more to the package. I don't know. But to me, it doesn't sound like a huge incentive, like I'm leaving because there's this giant pot of gold at the end. I don't know what anyone else thinks about that. It's not a high salary for the job. A private practice would get 5 times that. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay, anyway, I mean, that's just to the side. To bring a defense lawyer's perspective, at a time when the office is beset with accusations of cheating in trials, including by withholding evidence, Gosney was hired to train incoming classes of prosecutors and to be involved with ethics, evidence issues, and conviction integrity. The local defense lawyers group that has been agitating for reforms reiterated Friday their desire for a prosecutorial integrity unit that addresses past misconduct and current ethical concerns. We sincerely hope that she will take seriously the search for the next person hired to address ethical concerns within the office, said attorney Lauren Field Krasnoff, president of the Miami chapter of the Florida Association for Criminal Defense Lawyers. There are countless well-qualified attorneys from outside of her office who could contribute to changing the culture at the office in a way that benefits the entire community. Gosney could not be reached for comment late Friday afternoon, but he'd expressed frustration in recent social media posts and told the Herald he didn't understand why female readers would take offense. We live in a time when intelligent people are being silenced so that stupid people won't be offended, says a meme posted on his Facebook page 2 days after the Herald article published. Okay. In an interview with the Herald for that report, Gosney said he used salacious material to make his topic interesting. The book's theme was that an innocent person can be sentenced to death, and they can. His sex novel, please, contained few depictions of women, few positive depictions of women. This woman, seriously, calling it a sex novel, that is flagrant false advertising, Brittany. Flagrant false advertising. I just got to tell you, I read it. It ain't a sex novel. If anyone tries to buy this looking for a sex novel, they're going to be disappointed. Brittany. Try not to psychoanalyze the author, said Gosney, who has been married 25 years. My wife, if you want to know the truth, she's quite the tough cookie, and she's professional and working. In a series of ex-posts in July, Gosney called it a ridiculous leap to suggest he endorses the actions of his fictional characters. One of my favorite authors is Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. Does this imply Miss Shelley endorsed reanimation of the dead? His post says. He also posted a biblical scripture, the parable of the sower from the New Testament. The parable, told by Jesus, describes seed falling on rocky or thorny ground and bearing no fruit, versus seed falling on rich soil, where it can produce fruit. How the state attorney office could be surprised by Gosney's book is unclear. Hiring records obtained by the Herald show that Gosney was upfront about it, a little too upfront for some. Oh, here we go. This bit. Very self-promoting about the books he has written and encouraged us repeatedly to purchase, wrote Christine Zarelban, though still recommending he move forward in the interview process. Has blog and live streams cases, she wrote after the March 29 interview, and he is very Catholic and opposed to the death penalty. Well, yeah, this is all him. It's Steve for you. Interviewer Reed Rubin, a prosecutor, wrote that Gosney tends to go off on tangents and was self-promoting of his books. Okay. Both gave him high marks on legal knowledge, honesty, judgment, and communication. Okay, so how can you be good at communication but go off on tangents? It does not appear that anyone advised Gosney that he might have to give up his activity as a media personality. He's a media personality. The label he gives himself in a social media bio. Okay, he said that himself. Right. But after his hire, Gosney indicated on social media he was awaiting a ruling about it. After his hire. After his hire. Okay, I don't think that Brittany's quite worked out what that means. I think, yeah, ruling about it. Yeah. We read that tweet a minute ago. I don't think that was talking about being a media personality, but anyway. Besides selling his books from a personal website, Gosney participates in podcasts and hosts live streams that feature him drinking cocktails while discussing his books and legal issues with online friends. The office does not have a social media policy, but it does not allow prosecutors to communicate with the press regarding any case without permission, a written policy says. Well, he wasn't. When was he going to? He never said he would. I've never seen him ever comment on any case. So what? A month after his initial interviews, Gosney was brought into the office for interviews with top echelon and Fernandez Rundle's office, Howard Rosen, Nilo Cuervo, Steve Talpins, Kathleen Hogue, and Daisy Hernandez, record show. All were enthusiastic about him, giving him high marks and effusive compliments in their interview notes. Gosney had spent time as a prosecutor in Daytona Beach until a new state attorney was hired and required that Gosney leave, records show. He immediately was hired as a public defender, where he was working when he applied in Miami. Gosney and his wife wanted to relocate to follow their son. who had decided to attend college in Miami. Okay. Affable, entertaining, yet humble. Let's get him on board, Rosen wrote. We need this guy. Well, you know what? Rosen, he had good taste. He's right. That is Gosney. With the thumbs up from his closest advisors, the state attorney interviewed Gosney a week later. On May 6th, Fernandez-Rundle noted that he does YouTube and Rumble, a conservative video-based social media platform. I really like him. He's dynamic, mature, and experienced, her handwritten notes later say. Later, she was contacted directly by the local chapter of the Florida Association of Women Lawyers. Miami chapter president Angela Benjamin issued a brief statement to the Herald last week saying Fernandez-Rundle is a longtime supporter of their organization and a recipient of the organization's Maddie Bell Davis Award, named for the first female bar-admitted lawyer in Florida. Ms. Rundle graciously took our call, Benjamin's written statement said, and assured us she is appropriately addressing the issue in a manner that will be satisfactory to the MDFAWL and its members. MDFAWL is the the Florida Association of Women's Lawyers. Miami-Dade, Florida Association of Women's Lawyers. Yes. Yes. Right. Is there comments? Terry here said, should have written it about the alphabet people and put it in the school libraries. He'd be a hero. Okay. La Madrina says, Steve is a great man, and I'm very upset this is happening to him. I reached out to my contacts and my friend, attorney Scott Rothstein, who has a reputable firm in Broward. We'll be calling him. Oh, that's awesome, La Madrina. Wonderful news. And your friend could not do better. Could not do better. I'm sure that Steve has some excellent references he could provide. I bet he wasn't promoting his books in the interview. His legal work and the books he's written for children are more of a passion project, in my opinion. His whole face lights up when he talks about them. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wow. Okay, moving on. So that was the article that was put out confirming that Steve was going to be parting ways with the Miami State Attorney's Office. So it's time to clear some things up. As much as I can, because there's only so much I can clear up. The State Attorney's Office statement said this, and I'm going to read this in lawyer voice now, as much as I can. Hold on. Oh, I've been talking a lot. Mr. Gosney will be separating from our office in the upcoming weeks. So let that sink in for a minute. Everybody's been asking, but did he quit? Did he not quit? Did they tell him bye-bye? Blah, 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 blah. This is what was said. All right? So think it through, guys. You like it? You like my lawyer voice? Was this British period drama? Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, look at what's not been said. Yeah, look at what's not been said. Okay. Now, Death Penalty Desires is a work of fiction. It is not smut or a porno. It is an anti-death penalty book with adult themes. It is so important that those words are just gone, right? So if you hear people saying things like that, if you want to help change the narrative, then if people are talking about it being like a sex book or smut or any of those things, then those are the words that need to be changed. Okay. So if you want to help, if you want to help turn this thing around, we need to get those words out. Okay. It's just really important. It's upsetting because that's not what it is. It's just not what it is. And I can confirm that I've read it. Right. If you want to go ahead and read it, go ahead and read it. And I'm not trying to sell it for him at all. But totally, if you can take my word for it, you can take his word for it, you take anyone's word for it who's read it, but not these people who have an agenda to try and shame him or cancel him. It's not. And if you're looking for that kind of stuff, you're going to be disappointed. All right. Steve felt no need to use a pseudonym or pen name. So a lot of people have been talking about this, asking about this. Why? Why would Steve not use a pseudonym or pen name? There's simply nothing wrong with the book. It's fiction. So it sits alongside the rest of his titles as it should. I don't think that Steve even thought about using a pseudonym or pen name. It's why? It's kind of, it's one of those things that's sort of like, well, if you have to use a pseudonym or pen name, then there's something wrong with it. There's some reason why you want to hide it. And he didn't want to hide it. In fact, he went to the effort of making a PG version of it. What more could he do than make a PG version? What author bothers to make a PG version of a book? It's just so silly. It's just so silly. So yeah, no, it's got his name on it because he wrote it, and he has an array of books which are his. So no, he didn't feel any need to do that. Didn't feel any need to do that. Hella should have designed the cover. You know what's funny about the cover? It's like what I find really interesting about the cover is that there's so much talk about it being about women's sex objects, yet there's a half-naked dude on the front. What's with that? Right? It's like, oh, these women's sex objects. Oh, it's objectifying women. Da, da, da. Hello, dude on cover. What? It just like makes no sense. Now, it's pretty clear if you read the first article slash articles that the writers did contact Steve for comment prior to publishing the first article. Okay, because there's quotes from Steve in there, right? It said that they did an interview with him. Well, okay, loosely. So yeah, there's quotes from him in there. He saying that he's let me go back to the original article. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, so here, for example, it says it's a morality play, it's a commentary on society, it's a meditation on the system and how the system can go wrong in a myriad of ways to convict an innocent person, and it's a tour through death row, he said in an interview, right? So clearly they've had some contact with Steve prior to publishing the article, right? Okay, so here's my opinion on that. The foundation of the story was already written, right? And my opinion, is Brittany Woolman and Sarah Blasky had their narrative set. Steve was not going to be able to change their mind. That's just something I know. Okay. So they didn't care what Steve said. They had already decided that they were going to write this piece. Whether, and I don't know how much this other woman had to do with it. Brittany seems to be the main writer. So that's that. Now, the writers and commenters have gone so far as to disparage Steve's choice of friends, the people he's named stream with his fans, to which I'm going to say this. Steve Gosney is a man of such integrity. He can befriend people with vastly different belief systems, overlook societal boundaries, and forgive transgressions most of us would begrudge for a lifetime. This is something I've noticed about Steve. The devil on my shoulder sometimes goes, how can he hang out with that person? That person does this, and not just to Steve, right? Devil on my shoulder will go, but that person spreads rumors, or that person, gets up to this and that, and he's such a good person. Why would he be friends with him? But then I'm like, hang on a minute. First, I'm being judgy. And second, Steve's a better guy than me. He's a better guy than me, right? I need to stop that. Because Steve doesn't have to be around people who think the exact same way as him. Steve can look at somebody and go, you know what? I come from a completely different background to you. I have a completely different set of values to you, but I can still be friends with you because I appreciate you for this, and this about you. I appreciate these beautiful qualities about you. And that's that. And I love that about him. I think we could all learn from that. So I think that's why he makes an excellent defense attorney. I think that's why he's made an even better appellate attorney. Someone like that is the kind of person that you need to be able to work with prosecutors who are being trained in ethics, right? So, Barry, I hope Steve's a better guy than you, Helen. He's so respectful of different views. It's the best thing about him. Yeah. Ginger with a soul. Dear Steve, if you're here, I miss seeing you on streams, and I hope that you'll find where you're meant to be soon and that you're able to return to the internet. So, yeah, agreed. Isn't everyone like that? I'm a far leftist, not a progressive, and I still love watching people like Sean. Yeah, no, not everyone's like that, Mavka. Absolutely not everyone's like that. It's there. People like that are rare. Mavka, you are like that. I know you are, because you are somebody who can look at a defendant who's clearly guilty of something and see that they have mitigating factors. You can look at them and go, well, but what about the fact that they were abused? Or what about the fact that perhaps they've been overcharged? Rather than just going, oh, they're guilty, forget their rights. Right? I know you, Mavka. Right? So I love the fact that whilst you're a leftist, a far leftist, you're very happy to still be friends with people who have completely different values to you. And that is rare. Most people that I've come across aren't like that at all. They completely, they get very enraged when someone is displaying arguments that don't correspond with their own moral views. And that's why I like to have people like you, Mavka, and many of you guys here many of you guys here in the chat today, I gravitate towards people like you. Steve is a great example of someone like that. Just an excellent example. He just has no judgment. He has no judgment whatsoever, no ego. No ego. The Miami State Attorney's Office and the state of Florida just lost a really great asset. It really did. Heller is wrong. I'm never wrong, darling. See, this is what you got to learn. All right. Yep, they just lost a really great asset. And it's a shame for them. It's a shame for them. That's just, I feel really bad for them. I do. And for anybody else who's considering hiring Steve and looks at this slight on his resume and overlooks him, that's a huge shame. That's just a huge shame. But like Steve said to me back in at the beginning of July, it's just a blip. It will just be a blip eventually. Right? When he does move on and carves out further achievements in his career, this won't exist anymore. It'll be over. It'll be over. So that's his profile picture now on LinkedIn. Isn't he cute? Who's going to snap this one up? Who's going to snap this one up? Yes, you're right, Half Irish. It's a shame for the defendants in Miami-Dade too. Yep. It's a shame for everyone seeking due process, really, in Miami-Dade. I know, Mavka, but it is. People do this, don't they? They just leave their old photo up there because they don't want to. They don't want a new one. I think it's better to put a newer one up, personally. Yes. Was this just joy? I thought about leaving a nasty message to the writer of the article, then I thought of Steve, so I did not. He makes people better humans, at least this human. Yes, Just Joy. And that is why today on this stream, I did not go after the people who I believe may be behind this, right? I have suspicions, okay? I didn't go after the groups, the people, the suspicions that I have. I didn't point fingers. The only person I really mentioned is the writer, because, come on. Yeah. I think it was irresponsible of her to write such a piece that clearly was going to ruin a man's career. Not just one, but then she went ahead and did more. But that said, she can take it. That's what she does. I didn't call her any names, though. I didn't attack her personally. I could have, but I didn't. And I didn't go after any potential people who may have had a problem with Steve. I didn't go after his employers. I didn't swear. I didn't go call names, nothing like that. So I don't want to do anything that is inflammatory. This isn't about that. But I do think this is an injustice. I do think it's an injustice. I don't think it's right. And I think it's a huge shame, as we just said, for the state of Florida, for Miami-Dade, for his new employer. They've lost out. It's wrong that Steve has had to deal with this. He's moved his entire family across the state. It's devastating. And his reputation to be tarnished like this, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. So I hope that this broadcast today, I've done the story justice. I hope that all the chats today, he can read through them all, the comments, everything, that he can look at it and be proud and happy that there are so many people who support him. I'm just going to read a couple. The public defenders are behind this. I'm certain they have the power and resources. Call them out, Hella. Justice needs to be said. Thank you, La Madrina. I really appreciate you being here. I so appreciate you being here. That is awesome. And I'm sure that Steve would, if he could comment, if he could be here, he would really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Don't read mine. I'm a jerk. Dirk. Thank you, Dirk. Look, I had, you love Steve Nibbles. Look, I had one intention with this today, and that is to get these things out there on the record. When I say on the record, on the YouTube record, but something out there that was positive for him. That it wasn't inflammatory. It was just research and clean and tidy and real. It had the people who support him here to speak. I'm just going to go back through and read a few things. Steve has so much support, something so much bigger and better to come from this. That's right, Teresa K. That's right, Teresa K. Stray says, hey, Stray. Stray says, Steve is the epitome of a diamond in the rough. Well, he was in the rough there. Yeah. Why didn't Brittany condemn the misandry and sexualization of male characters? In what, Kat? I might have taken your comment out of context there, sorry. Thanks for being here too, Kat, by the way, and for the gifted memberships. Chung says, this definitely makes me question what in the world is going on in Miami, that they don't want an honest man like Steve there. Well, something's going on in Miami because they were looking for somebody to help. And it makes, like, I wonder how much politics is involved in this. I mean, and I don't pretend to really understand American politics that well. And I don't want this discussion to turn too political. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the state attorney is elected, and she had a problem on her hands, didn't she? And she needed to be seen to be fixing it. She certainly doesn't want to be seen to be not dealing with something that people are alerted to. If this Brittany Wallman is making a fuss over supposedly an author who's writing things that are anti-women, apparently, and that's her agenda, then as an elected official, I guess she has to sort of hand it to her voters, I guess. But it's just so wrong that that's what Steve is being painted as, because that's not what he is. That's not what he is. It sounds like Miami is run by women lawyers with sticks up there. I'm just going to read a few more before we finish up. Thank you so much, guys. I thought Miami came up to him. Steve didn't apply for the position. I don't think he applied for the position. I thought he was recommended. I'm not sure though, Auntie M. Jude Curio. Hey, Jude. Hey, Jude. He's the smartest lawyer I know, and he can take my case anytime. I'd be honored. Can we uncancel him? That's what we're trying to do, Jude. That's what we're trying to do. Hey, God, how you going? At 11:15 my time, God said, MLS God said, excited, keep your stream going for 1 hour and 15 minutes more. No problem. I think I did that. Oh, hang on. Has he started yet? He should have. Let me check. Let me just check. Has God of Law started yet? Doesn't really matter. I'll be redirecting to him anyway. What else we got? I'm just going back through previous ones. I think Jung says, I think everyone has to take a look at themselves every time you yourself talks disparaging like this about someone. You're participating in this kind of energy, being accepted in our society. Yes, Young, that's exactly what I was getting at earlier. So very much the quote that I had previously. He said unto them that he that is without sin amongst you, let him cast a stone. And we see this so often when we are reviewing cases and looking at defendants in court and things like that. And we're all just like, oh, well, Sarah Boone, for example, she brought this on herself, so she deserves it. Well, did she? She's not even been found guilty yet. So, and it's just a matter of if we speak a certain way about somebody, are we bringing that back around onto ourselves? I mean, we all do it. Like we all speak badly about other people from time to time. But if we can just take a bit of a leaf out of Steve Gosney's book, if we just take a bit of a leaf out of Steve Gosney's book, he's not the kind of person who throws that much shade at people, really. He's the kind of person who generally sees the good in others. And yet here he is having his whole life being torn apart. And yeah, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Yeah, so I've been really careful today not to just tear people down who I think may be involved in this. I don't think that's going to help. All right, back down to here. All right, starting at 30 minutes. That's fine. I'm almost finished. Okay. What's this? Nicholas lost his phone and they're running late. A goat ate the phone. Goats will eat anything. Cancelling isn't new. Only the term is. Branka's a loyal friend. Look, Branka is, and Steve is a loyal friend to Branka. This is the thing. It's like they can say all these things about Andrew. They don't know Andrew. They don't know Andrew. Like, I understand why they said those things about Andrew. I get why people think those things. But they don't understand the friendship between Steve and Andrew. I'm sure, like, Andrew wouldn't care. He's heard worse things in his life. But they don't understand that friendship. So, but you can't judge Steve based on the friends that he keeps, because Steve has friends of all walks of life from all over the world, like me. Are you going to judge him because he's got a friend who's an Aussie? My country doesn't even exist. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, hey, Andrew, how's it going? If I need a Florida lawyer to defend me in a killing case, I'd retain Gosney in an instant, and be blessed to have him. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I wish he'd go and defend Sarah Boone right now. She needs him. Because he's the kind of guy who would look at someone like her and have actual real empathy for her. And I'm not even kidding. There are very few people who have true empathy for others like this man, and can see that perhaps maybe there are reasons why her rights are being violated to an extent, but that she just deserves representation. But Steve needs to focus on him. He needs to focus on him and his next step. But thank you, Andrew, and thank you for being here. I'd pick Gosney in an instant, and I'm so thankful to have met him through Branca. I introduced you to Steve. Hi. Jeez. It's always someone else, isn't it? Always has to be one of the lawyers. God, Dolly. And see an actual human being that needs help. Yeah. Sure has. All right. Oh, hey, Eric Bomes is here. And BL Blazy, how are you? No. Okay. All right, I'm going to finish up. I think Steve really could represent her in a way she wants that is still ethical. Yeah, no doubt. I have no doubt. Hey, how are you? Okay, that's it. I think I'm pleased with that. I think I'm pleased with that. I think I am. I think I am. I think I'm pleased that I got all that out. Unless anyone has anything more they want to add. Oh, Dirk, I love you too. Haven't seen you for a bit. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Tomorrow, Hearsay for Days, 4 p.m. Eastern. Murdoch is back. And Becky Boo. Tank True. And also the Robert Tellis trial and Sarah Boone, Justice for Sarah Boone will be the 3 topics tomorrow. Maybe some other things, not quite sure. But yes, 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow with Dali and I. Don't know if we'll have any guests. Probably, maybe, don't know. But yeah, guys, all come along and support. Should be fun. And I'm going to redirect you over to David Lego Law. So hopefully Nick Sorrow will be there with his phone if he hasn't lost it to a goat. Who knows? That sounds like an interesting story. Yes, and I have, just a moment, stay with me. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. You're already here for that stream. An idiot. This one. This one. Here's for today's live. Murdoch, Becky Hill, Sarah Boone, Robert Tellers, and more. Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. There it is. Yes, that's tomorrow. Yee. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you all being here. That was worth the effort. That was worth the effort. Yeah, I know, Ghost. I posted this live stream, but then I posted tomorrow's. And then the day after, we're going to go through Sarah's new documents. So everyone keep your notification bells and everything on, because we're doing justice everywhere. Justice, justice, justice. Yeah, let's go. Oh, yeah, Dali gets to break out his sweet Southern Belle. He's been dying to do more Becky Hill for a long time. He's been like, oh, Murdoch, please, please. Okay, that's all. I love you all so much. Steve, if you're out there, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. This is going to be nothing. You're going to forget all about it in a few months' time. Well, maybe not all about it in a few months' time, but you're going to move on. You're going to get a new job. You're going to be back on YouTube, Rumble. We're all going to be having a nice party stream together. All of us are going to be together again, laughing and stuff. This is all just going to be a funny memory, kind of, sort of. We love you, Steve. We really do. And yeah, we're pleased, proud to call you a friend. So that's all I have to say. And it's time for my song. It's time for my song. Her name was Helen. Was an Aussie.
She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Donnie and she
Hi, everyone.
sometimes the words are always so loud and because she's an 803. To the attention, excited utterance. Her cat